This is a signature Model S from 2012. An absolutely groundbreaking vehicle when it was introduced, this is a first of its kind 5-seater EV with great styling, great acceleration, and great cargo space. It also had a maximum all-electric range of 265 miles. Priced at just above $95,000, in 2012, this was absolutely a luxury car. However, the year it was introduced, it did win Motor Trend's Car of the Year. Unlike other major automotive manufacturers, Tesla is constantly making small updates to their vehicles. Other than the 2014 introduction of autopilot and dual motor, most of these changes go unnoticed. That is until 2017, when Tesla did their first major exterior refresh. With the 2017 model, Tesla updated the front fascia, gave the car a giant all-glass roof, and updated the autopilot hardware. Still, for about $95,000, this Model S got about 250 miles of range. Aside from a few range and performance improvements, Tesla kept things largely the same for several years. That was the case, however, until Tesla unveiled the all-new Model S in 2021. And today, we're going to be comparing this to the Model S of previous generations. Let's get into it. By now, hopefully you've seen that we had a chance to drive this car all the way across the country and actually set the new electric vehicle Cannonball record in just over 42 hours and 17 minutes. And let me just say, those 7,000 miles gave us a great opportunity to get to know this car. Compared to the older Model S's, this is a major step up. This is a major improvement. And compared to the Model S Plaid, it's actually surprisingly basically the same car. Obviously, you lose one of those 3 motors. This is just a dual motor car, but otherwise, you basically get the same 5-seat, large, comfortable sedan. You still get the Yoke steering. You still have the same options for wheels and tires and the wood decor as opposed to the carbon fiber. So I like to think of this as the poor man's Plaid. It still has plenty of power, plenty of acceleration, 0 to 60 in 3.1. And keep in mind, that is without the rollout. So effectively, this car feels like a 2.8 0 to 60 instead of that Plaid with the 1.9 second 0 to 60. If you had asked us about a year ago whether you should buy a Model 3 or a Model S, we still would have recommended buying a Model 3. The Model 3 was just a better overall package. It charged faster and it was more fun to drive. Well, with this new Model S, starting at about $95,000, and if you reserved early, you can still get it for about $80,000, it just completely changes the game. Ready for launch, here we go. Oh my God. Oh, that's incredible. Whew. So obviously this car accelerates really well, but it handles well too. This car just inspires confidence when you're driving it. I really enjoy all the little upgrades they made from the old Model S. I used to describe the Model S as almost boat-like. It felt like a luxury yacht. This new Model S with the updated active air suspension feels much more sporty. And so there's a couple different settings here. I'm currently in Sport, which is a nice, tight, firm suspension that still feels very comfortable, but Comfort kind of smooths out some of the curves and makes it a little bit more of a wallowy suspension. My only complaint, however, with this car has got to be the brakes. They're just not quite large enough. They just slow the car just a little bit too slowly, and especially given that these are the same brakes that they have on the Plaid, I'm hoping that Tesla eventually releases some kind of track package with larger brakes, larger pads, and larger calipers. One of my favorite things about road tripping with this new Model S is just how fast it charges. In our experience during our Cannonball, we found that at Tesla's version 3, or their 250 kilowatt peak chargers, that this Model S maintains 200 kilowatts deep until about 40% state of charge and still 150 kilowatts until about 50% state of charge. Meaning you can add about 200 miles of range to this car in just over 20 minutes. While we're here, let's talk about how Tesla improved the exterior of the new Model S. First of all, you'll notice it's wider with a nice improved front fascia. It's also got some new wheels and tires. These are the 19s, but we've also tried it with the 21s. And all the areas that were previously chrome are now a nice gloss black. While I do really love a lot of what Tesla's doing with this updated exterior design, 2 things still stand out in my mind that could have been improved. First of all, they kept the old chrome tees both on the front and rear, as well as they've kept the old taillights from the older Model S instead of adopting the new diffused LEDs that they first introduced in 2017 on the Model X and currently deliver on the 3 and Y. All right, you know we have to talk about it. Let's get into the Yoke. So I know a lot of other reviewers have said negative things about the Yoke and its overall shape, but in its general shape, I actually really kind of like it. I would agree with Tesla that it does improve your forward-facing visibility and your average driving. It's only slight turns on the highway or on even side roads. It's pretty actually easy to use. It's really more in those 3-point turns and occasional parking situations where it begins to become a little bit more difficult with kind of hand-over-hand gestures. However, my bigger complaint with the Yoke is actually the on-screen kind of touch capacitive buttons. So when you put the blinkers there on the Yoke and to have all these other, your high beams and your lights, your voice commands, your wipers, as well as your horn, that just seems like a bit much to me. And I don't know why they couldn't have just kept the horn in the center of the wheel and maybe moved your left to right blinkers onto the back of the Yoke. I totally get why they got rid of the stalks, but I feel like this is a good first iteration of the Yoke, but it absolutely could be improved. And that brings me to my second biggest complaint, the all-new UI. While I love the 17-inch horizontal touchscreen, it is just a bit confusing in some of the ways that Tesla laid things out here. So, for example, there are 2 camera icons down here. This one, I guess, brings up your dash cam, your live view of your dash cam, and this one is your dash cam viewer, so if you've got like Sentry mode or something like that. But on top of that, it's just kind of confusing where menus kind of come from and where they go. So let's just say you're adjusting the temperature, you can adjust it here, and then you could either tap here or here, there we go, in order to access kind of where you want to move the air like the Model 3 and Model Y, which is a welcome improvement. So then that disappears. You want to access your just general settings. You can tap there or swipe, but it's just confusing in some of the ways that they've listed these menus. It's not really that intuitive. And on top of that, if you zoom out just a little bit too far, you lose all the charging icons, which isn't a problem here in the Bay Area because there's plenty of chargers. But you have to hit navigate and charging as opposed to in the Model 3 and Model Y when you could just hit on a little icon that was always present in order to navigate to the nearest charger. In terms of creature comforts, the new Model S has a much better sound system than any Tesla we've ever been in. However, we found that it lacks just a little bit in the mids, and because of the position of the speakers, a lot of the audio seems to be coming from the front of the car, so I like to pull it back just a little bit. In the rear of the Model S, we've got the familiar large sub-trunk, as well as an improved magnetic cargo cover, and if you drop the seats down, they go almost perfectly flat, meaning it's capable of car camping. At the front of the Model S, we've got a small-ish front trunk capable of storing maybe 2 backpacks or a carry-on, which is notably smaller than early generations. As for the rest of the interior, the seats are pretty much what you've come to expect with the Model S. However, these ones do both heat and cool. And as for the doors, there's more sculpting, there's more space there, as well as, finally, some much-needed door pockets. The rear of the Model S is dramatically improved from previous generations, with much better rear seats, with nice bolstering, as well as an armrest that has available wireless charging, and the same climate controls you'll find in the front of the vehicle. One final complaint about the interior layout of the new Model S is the door armrests taper off so quickly that I find my elbow will fall off frequently. A little disclaimer here, during our time with this Model S, the driver's side door handle gave us sometimes pretty significant issues, as well as we got a warning that our front hood latch needed service. So this car will be going in for service, it'll be completely covered under warranty, but these are the kinds of things that you wouldn't expect a brand new vehicle to have issues with. So we're hoping that Tesla can continue to improve their quality control. All in all, this is a much needed and much appreciated update to the now 10-year-old Model S. We love how it feels, how it drives, and we just love it. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you in the next one.